Hold it right there! Freeze! Careful what you wish for, copper. Beautiful. Huh? About time you showed up. So that Mr. Freeze showcase was quite depressing, wasn't it? So this time, let's have some winter fun. It's now December. Christmas time is near. A time for family, and I can think of one family that's defo getting coal in their stockings. The Rogues, Flash's fantastical foes who menace the Scarlet Speedster at every opportunity. A close-knit family of criminals led by one absolute belter of a bad guy. Don't laugh. Leonard Snart, aka Captain Cold. Cold is what I would call a relatable supervillain, and here's why. Firstly, he's not an evil genius. In fact, he didn't design his famous cold gun. It was a combination of schematic stealing and luck that got him his trademark weapon. Secondly, Leonard just wants to goof off with his mates and get money. He's not asked who rules Central City as long as it's not some big psychic gorilla or something. He and his rogues have even been known to help the Flash on more than one occasion. And thirdly, he's a bit of a horn dog. A lot of Cold's early stories are about him falling in love with a woman and committing crimes to get her. He's literally you and me. We've actually already covered a lot of Cold's key issues in the Flash foe duology. From Len's debut in Showcase number 8, to his initial partnership with Heatwave, the Chewbacca to Snart's Han Solo in the Flash 140, and his first full team up with the rest of his family in Flash 155. So for this one, let's take a look at some of Leonard's cheekier escapades, where he alone is the main focus. What's cooler than being cool? But first, just who exactly is the Flash's frostiest foe? We've read Lenny's debut, but it didn't go much into his backstory. We may have seen his origins, but not his past. Unfortunately for us, Jeff Johns himself carved out what made Snart the man he is, in absolute zero from the Flash 182. Leonard grew up in a caravan park just outside Central City with an absent mother and an abusive father. His dad used to be a policeman, so this obviously coloured Cold's perception of the police from an early age. It seems like Leonard and his supportive little sister Lisa could never do anything right in their dad's eyes. Even telling the dad they love him ended in a beating, and if they ever cried or shown any emotion really, they got the belt. But luckily for Lenny, his sister wasn't the only person to have his back. Grandpa Snart was the only family member to treat the kids warmly, and was the only positive role model in their lives, so it hurt that much more when he died. Now the kids had no one but each other, but they knew now never to show any emotions, to be cold to the world. It took years, but eventually Leonard built up enough courage, or cowardice, to leave. The mum had died almost a year before, leaving no one to stand between the kids and their abusive dad. So Lenny packed his stuff and went, to the horror of Lisa, who he refused to take with him. He knew what kind of life he was destined for and didn't want her throwing hers away too. More on that later, I suppose. Snart and his new gang had big plans for Central City. Finally, he would have the power. Equipped with lots of guns and cool custom sunglasses, they were going to take whatever they wanted by storm. But unfortunately, Lenny's storm had some lightning, and the crew were put away by the Scarlet Speedster in the blink of an eye. Just like throughout his childhood, someone more powerful than Lenny had made him hurt. But this time, Snart would have his revenge. He studied how the Flash's powers worked and devised a genius way to counter his new nemesis. If the Flash was all about speed, Snart would master stillness. And so, by stealing blueprints and technology, he built his original weapon of motion destruction, the Cold Gun. Captain Cold was born, and he wasn't the only super sinner to spar with the Scarlet Speedster. Mirror Master, Heatwave, Trickster, any Flash-hating felon was welcome in Len's eyes. But there was one fellow supervillain he was especially fond of. Oh, I thought he was going to say Heatwave, but no, it was his sister, Lisa, or, as she's now known to the Central City Police Department, the Golden Glider. Reunited after years, Leonard and Lisa vow to never abandon each other again, and a new chapter begins. So Lenny managed to pull himself up from a bleak childhood and build a life for himself. I mean, yeah, a life of crime, but he's got money, friends, and a hell of a hobby. One thing I really like about Cold is his relationship with Barry. They both see his crime sprees as a kind of game, and Cold takes any opportunity to mug off the Flash. He loves to make Flash look foolish. Here's an example of it now. In The Flash, issue 297, we've got Captain Cold's Cold Flame, where our Sub-Zero scoundrel has turned into an Arctic Avenger. And mate, the disrespect is immense. Not only has Captain Cold turned on his fellow criminals by turning himself into a vigilante, he's leaving cheeky notes to rub Flash's nose in it. Now that's banter, mate. Just for you, Flash. Compliments of Captain Cold. This story begins mid-crime, but it's not Big Lenny doing the dirty deeds this time. This crew of bad boy bikers are taking Central City for a ride. But fellas, crime in Central City. Guess who shows up? Guess. Bloody hell, Flash, this is a bit dangerous, isn't it? He steals the wheels from the first biker as they're going pure miles an hour. Christ. Bit risky, mate. Jesus Christ, Flash, stop. He stops dead ahead of the bikers and just stands there. Bloody hell. Surely Flash is set to be roadkill, but just before impact, he does his vibro phasing thing on the second thug. 2 punks down. 1 to go. But by the time the Flash catches back up to the daylight robber, his hopes of a life of crime have been put on ice by none other than, are you ready? Alright, get on to this. Captain Cold. And look at this dialogue, it's like he's purposefully saying what'll piss Flash off the most. Justice was done, and that's what counts. Though this is quite sad to see, I thought the Flash was the kind of guy to see the good in everyone. But here he is, talking down to Cap Cold. Shame, Flash. Shame. But seriously, why would a mastermind like Snart suddenly break good? Ah, of course. A woman. It's Cold's new relationship with supermodel Myrna Troy that's made him go straight. She related to Donna. This man loves the ladies. Most of his original story is about him chasing tail. He fell in love with Myrna when he saw her on telly, and when he got out and tracked her down, she, miraculously, bit weirdly, returned his feelings. But in the chill of the night, it seems that Lenny already gives the cold shoulder to crime fighting. A bitter burglary at a jewellery store heralds the coming of winter. Is Captain Cold back in the game? No, it's not Lenny at all. The frigid felonies were committed instead by Myrna. In a crafty plot, she'd seduced Leonard into spilling his secrets so she could use his gear and persona for some heists of her own, leaving him to take the blame. Now that is cold. But like anyone would believe that it was really beautiful yet disgustingly wealthy Myrna committing the crimes, Cold knows he's screwed, so he's gonna have to do something drastic. It's not long before Central City Police and their crimson ass kisser hit Myrna's house looking for Snart, but what Barry finds isn't a broken law, it's a broken heart. Poor Lenny, betrayed by his beloved, has frozen himself and Myrna solid. A state somewhere between life and death I'm sure Nora Freeze could tell us all about. But that scarlet scumbag that never believed Cold could be a force for good won't even allow Leonard this fate. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Guys like Snart deserve respect, if only for the fact that they choose to take on the bloody Flash. He's so goddamn overpowered, mate. Here he is, casually cutting into the earth to let loose a stream of magma. Jesus Christ, how the hell are you supposed to fight the Flash? The blast of heat melts Cold's ice trap, and after some medical attention his body should heal, even if his heart never will. It's a funny parallel with Mr. Freeze really. Victor does all his crimes for the benefit of his love. Lenny meanwhile seems to do a lot of crime just to find someone to love. One of Leonard's earliest stories had him trying to cook Barry by shagging Iris. Oh, and speaking of Barry, What the hell, Flash? One of your usual suspects starts doing good deeds, and rather than encourage them, you talk crap. Some hero. Could a man like Snart ever truly be a hero? Maybe in a world without the Flash. This is Flashpoint. Citizen Cold. If you're interested enough in Flash lore to click on a video about Captain Cold, you probably already know about Flashpoint, but just in case, it's a world created by the Flash messing with the time stream to the point where everything is screwed up. Thomas Wayne is a killer Batman. Wonder Woman is a dictator. Flash never got his powers. How will Central City manage? Well, look who it is. Get out of here, Victor. You already had your video. In a world without the Flash, who is left to save Central? Citizen Cold. The low-heat hero out-colds Mr. Freeze himself. And the fans, mate. Women want him, men want to be him. But there's only one lady that Cold wants to keep him warm at night. Cold manages to both save reporter babe Iris West and her plucky sidekick Wally, and defeat Freeze. But just before Victor feels the icy touch of death, he learns a cold fact of life. Citizen Cold set up their confrontation, all to make himself look cool. Even in a flashless world, Cold is no hero. He takes on other villains only so he can get away with his own antics. He makes people think they need him, so they turn a blind eye. Not everyone loves Citizen Cold. Locked deep in the Iron Heights prison, the rogues gallery of every bad guy brutalized by Snart prepare to heat things up. The Mirror Master, one of Central City's deadliest villains, half dead and trapped inside his mirror realm by Cold, recruits some backup in a scheme that will reflect very badly on Leonard Snart. But the Snart name is already getting tarnished as Lisa, Lenny's beloved sister, murders their abusive police officer father. Lisa has finally struck back against their monstrous father, but years worth of evidence against the dad means she won't get punished too badly. But in the meantime, she's locked up at Iron Heights, alongside all the scum Cold has put away. And with Mirror Master knowing the citizen's secret identity, it's not looking good for Lisa. In fact, it's not really looking good for any Snart, as a masked stalker follows Cold home and runs his face through the database, discovering his checkered past. A secret that Leonard will protect at any cost. The masked stalker Wally West tries to warn his Aunt Iris about Citizen Cold, but Cold chills him to the bone. Mirror Master's rogues make their move. Weather Wizard, Tar Pit and Fallout blow their way out of Iron Heights, not noticing the fellow villain the Trickster closely following. But before they make their escape, they take a very valuable hostage. Lisa Snart. Supervillains aren't the only enemies of Cold, as the Pied Piper mourns the death of Wally, but the citizen had more important things on his mind. Iris West. Oblivious to the fact Cold murdered her nephew / cameraman, she interviews the hero of Central City until bad news from his inside man at Iron Heights makes Cold get back to work. The rogues have his sister. At the abandoned observatory where Weather Wizard first got his powers, he, Tar Pit, Trickster and Fallout prepare for Cold, but the harsh winter is already here. Every villain blasts Citizen Cold with all they have, screaming about revenge for whatever crimes Cold committed against them. But even in this life, Cold is a professional. He takes all these chumps can throw at him and gets right back up. I mean, even if Citizen Cold was secretly a cruel and evil man all along, he was still actually beating all those villains, so he's not going to go down like some bitch. He makes fools out of Fallout, Tar Pit and Trickster, but Weather Wizard has always been a top-tier powerhouse, and while the Wizard spells doom for Cold, Fallout murders Lisa. It'll be a cold day in hell when Citizen Cold dies without a fight. Cornered and pissed off, Leonard unleashes his ultimate attack. Somehow surviving, Cold finds his way back to Iris. But is this the melting point for Leonard's lies? Iris gets called back to her apartment in secret and is shocked when she discovers his true name on a pair of plane tickets. Cold planned to skip town, and he wanted Iris to go with him. But Iris knows about the evil associated with the name Leonard Snart. But she plays it cool, perhaps a bit too cool, because Cold lets his passion run hot. Citizen Cold intends to sort out his rivalry with the Rogues and leave Central City forever, and he offers Iris the chance to come with him once the bad guy business is concluded. The Rogues themselves are just as eager to finish things with Snart. By the end of the day, either Citizen Cold is dead, or they are. End of. And the first rogue to die is Tar Pit, who pays for letting his guard down. Second is Fallout, too busy daydreaming about his old friend Victor Freeze to hear Cold approach from behind. These two were powerful, but the true threat is Weather Wizard, who commands the skies themselves. He puts up a flashy showdown, but Weather Wizard's godlike powers are his own downfall when his own tornado funnels Cold's blast right into the eye of the storm. The Wizard himself. In their last fight, Cold went in hot. They had his sister hostage, he made mistakes, but now, he's cold, he's calculated, he's out for revenge. But so is the Mirror Master. Trapped half dead in the terrifying mirror world, he's now dragged Cold himself into his realm. These two rogues fight for their lives as the corpse of the trickster, Cold's inside man, watches on. But while the corrupted Mirrorverse kills any drawn inside, the reflection is true for Mirror Master. Cold pushes his reflecting foe through the looking glass, and as the final villain dies at Cold's hands, he laments how perhaps, in another world, they could have all been friends. And boy could Lenny use some friends, because as soon as he gets home, Iris confronts him, demanding the truth. The Pied Piper has all the evidence. Of Snart's past, of his murdering Wally, all of it. Everything Snart worked and lied for is slipping away, so he holds on as tight as he can to Piper's throat. After all, what's 2 more murders? But a familiar blast freezes Cold in his tracks. Thus ends the career of Central City's cold-hearted hero, at the hands of the love of his life and his own cold gun. What a wild ride that was. Who the hell are Fallout and Tar Pit? Where was Heatwave and the Top? At least we were spared any more Captain Boomerang. Cold on his own is a huge threat, isn't he? He took down his usual buddies quite easy at the end there. Bit too easy, I reckon, but ah well. I do think Lenny works best with his crew to bounce off. The Lion Hero thing was interesting, but maybe if all the rogues were pretending to be heroes and not just Cold, it would have been a bit better. He's cool alone, but really it's as a unit that these bad boys shine. What this story did well though, was highlight how much of a scumbag Snart truly is. Even with the whole city loving him, he couldn't help but mess it all up by being a bastard. Classic Cold. Rogues fans will know that whenever something big goes down, like huge world-shattering events, the Rogues usually sit it out or work on the side of the heroes. During Final Crisis, they ignore the big dark side stuff and focus on avenging the Flash by killing his killer. The New 52's Forever Evil had the Rogues defy the crime syndicate, and Cold even joined the Justice League after it for a while. Sellout. And all this, I believe, is thanks to Cold's leadership. He truly is the man with the plan, to the level where even the Flash can't keep pace.